Chad Campbell, welcome to NoSo Countdown. Are you ready to count down the 23 war game matches, 23-1?
What a great one we're starting off with here.
We are. So the concept we got going on here is starting November 1st, we have 23 days of war game match reviews, counting down from 23 all the way to 1, the best war game match. Unfortunately, we drew the short straw and we have the worst war game matches in really anyone's opinion. But how we kind of deciphered this list was based off a few things. First being cage match. And then, Chad, you were gracious enough to rate all of the WCW/NWA war games. I was gracious enough to rate all of the NXT/WWE war games. And then we took Meltzer's opinion into account. And then WCW side of things, we looked at yours and JT's tier lists from about 6 months ago or so. So all that kind of we snowballed into a list of a countdown 23-1.
Yeah, so this is just anything in the NWA, WCW, WWE banner that was considered a War Games match. So I know there's been some indies. My favorite NWA Wild Side had a couple of war games. So.
CZW had a bunch.
Yeah, well, the Cage of Death stuff. Yeah, right.
WCW recently, but with the back in the day with the NWA Great American Bash touring, we took 3 of them. We were recently in the past 10 years or so, there was a hidden gem from 1988 that was released. And then 1987, we have the inaugural one from Greensboro, is it? No, excuse me,
from
Atlanta.
The Omni. Yep.
The Omni in Atlanta. And then Miami on July 31st. We have footage to that. So those are the 3 from the Great American Bash tour, 87, 88. And then we have 89, 90, 91, so on and so forth, all the way to last year's Survivors.
Correct.
All right, Chad. So let's get started. Like I said, we drew the short star. And we ended with Nitro from September 4th, 2000. This is actually for the WCW World title.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, we ranked everything that in canon is considered a War Games. I mean, we'll get into it. This isn't a War Games match. I mean, this is a War Games match in name only. That is the only portion.
Before you start spewing on how we got here, let me just give you a quick rundown of the cage match, the Melchers, and so far. Cage match out of 10, give this a 0.68. Meltzer did not rate it, but I found multiple Fs and duds and just nothing glaringly positive on it. Chad, yourself gave it a dud, and you and JT had this last out of 13 WCW War Game matches. So this was easy pickings for last.
0.68 for cage match. I always look on the other end at anything like, 9.5 and above, like the high upper echelon of matches. But yeah, anything that's over 20 minutes and is like 0.75 and below, that is a rough cage match rating.
Mm-hmm. So, Chad, leading into here, there is really not necessarily much build leading into this match whatsoever. Leading into it, we had qualifiers in WCW where Sting defeated the Great Muta and Vampiro in a 2-on-1 handicap match to qualify for the match. 1:11, by the way. Booker T defeated his brother, Stevie Ray, in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Chronic defeated the Cat in a handicap match to qualify for this match. And Goldberg defeated the franchise Shane Douglas in 4:21 to qualify for this match. That is how that side of the teams established. On the other side, we had Russo's team of Kevin Nash, Jeff Jarrett, Scott Steiner, and Vinnie Rue himself.
Yeah, I mean, so it's Russo booking, right? So we only watch this show, to do this quick hit pod. I mean, in 2017, 2018, I went through all of 2000 worldwide and watched over 2,000 matches worldwide. So I watched this and that and watched, more of the build and stuff like that. But with Russo booking, I mean, it's so, frantic and just nonsensical that when you remove yourself from it and then you go back cold into it, like I did here for this match singularly, you're like, what is going on? Who's with who? You couldn't hash out any of it. It's just a mess. It is a mess.
It didn't really feel like there was much substance there. And it felt like it was kind of trying to swerve within the match. And
yeah,
mind you, there is 3 levels of this cage as we get into the match here. And Sting and Jeff Jarrett start the match. And I do give him a little bit. I'm going to give him an extra quarter of a star of Sting trying to go up to climb the cage as he was losing the advantage of the War Games. So psychology-wise, Sting was trying to get the belt before he was outnumbered. So I'll give him a quarter star for that off the bat. So there's a titch of psychology that's actually working here.
Yeah, them two brawling in the first 2 minutes wasn't too bad. It's the triple cage that they used at Slamboree or whatever that Canyon went flying off of. That's the cage they're wrestling in for this War Games match, a single ring. And yeah, I mean, this opening stanza, the brawling was pretty good. Like you said, Sting is climbing up when Big Papa Pump comes rushing in.
Full face gear, but Rip Hamilton style.
Yeah.
I believe he has a nose injury. Maybe you forgot that in your 2000 match watch from 2000. Yeah. But it gets muddy real quick. Fucking Chronic is in this as a single.
Yeah, both, but as a single. Yeah.
Don and Ron runs out and runs them off as they climb the cage. It's just frantic. It's just I don't remember. Like, what are we doing here? I think Booker T is third here for the good guys team, and he does get a pretty good pop. Booker T is over at this point, and he won the belt in the summer, so he has been a world champion at the time.
Right? Yeah, with the Bash at the Beach fiasco. Yeah.
Yep. And then we get Vinny Rue, like mentioned, and then we get Nash last with Goldberg to a thunderous pop. Typical Goldberg kicks, punch, throat kicks, whatever. So we've established, and this is really only a 16-minute match, I think, after commercials on the Peacock.
Yeah, I mean, but I think in this era of TV, it's 16 minutes. It's one of the longer matches probably on Nitro in 2000, bell to bell, which says something. No, I mean, a couple of the notes that I had just briefly on this match was like the Chronic and Ron and Don Harris thing where they kind of brawl into the crowd and then just disappear. That made no sense to me. Like, I don't know, because Chronic was climbing the cage. So, like, to me, your psychology goes out the window where they were climbing the cage. Then they see Ron and Don and they abort climbing up the cage to go chase and brawl with them. So, I mean, I don't know if Chronic had any world title aspirations or not, but both of them, they basically eliminated themselves by scurrying off with the Harris brothers. And then the main thing to me, like, as you can touch on the finish, but leading to the finish, Goldberg gets handcuffed. And this shows, like, I mean, how down WCW is. Like, the crowd is, it's whatever. It's pretty tepid, I would say, for most of this match. There's chanting Goldberg.
Yeah,
like Goldberg has been abused, and we've had the heel turn. We've had all this garbage with him, and they are still chanting this guy. They want to get behind this guy still. This crowd, whatever's left of this crowd that's dwindled, wants to get behind Goldberg, and he's made to look like a buffoon in this match. And again, it's to the benefit of one Kevin Nash, who this is mind-boggling throughout WCW, where they constantly tried, even when he was booking and when Nash himself was booking and when Russo was booking, he constantly tries to make himself look cooler than Goldberg. And in this match, he does that by standing there trying to be like the smartest guy in the room. I mean, he may have a funny podcast now, but I mean, he sucked. He absolutely sucked in this time frame, and he's not over at all compared to Goldberg, and it's to the detriment of everything. So it sucks.
Well, this whole thing was booked around him to maintain the championship
Yeah.
and to swerve everyone, you know. So
Yeah.
this is just like the perfect recipe for Nash, the perfect recipe for Russo, and just the perfect recipe for the toilet of the later days of WCW. Unfortunately, we get to the back end of this match here. I will say, massive pop from the Dallas crowd when Goldberg did break those handcuffs that you mentioned. Yeah. And then he just goes nuts. I believe it's still on him. So he definitely, one of the cuffs is still on him. So he's just like,
oh yeah,
he's hamming guys, and he's just like full fisting them. And I'm sure they're getting ricochets off the fucking handcuffs or whatnot. But like that was a cool spot for what it was. It did add some pizzazz to the ring as he was about to grab the belt and go outside, but then camera work kind of spoils Bret Hart sitting there waiting for him 5 seconds before we see Bret Hart there. So it's just like, all right, whatever. Slam right in the face. And then Kevin Nash picks up the belt. Or Russo picks up? I don't even remember. Russo picks up the belt.
Yeah, it's like they give it, I think it's Steiner and Jarrett retrieve the belt, hand it to Russo, who then like Nash does this thing where he's staring off of Russo like he's going to beat him up. You know, he's not going to let Russo leave the cage. And then it's all a swerve. They hug, and then Nash gets the belt. And
Nash does have some physicality with Russo earlier in the match. So what total wicked swerve.
The long game. The long game.
Long game of the fucking swerve. So yeah, they laugh walking out of the ring. Bret Hart's in the distance, all accomplished. It was just...
Has anybody not want to been in a promotion more than Bret Hart in September 2000 WCW? He's like one CM Punk backstage brawl away from getting the hell out of there. Oh my God, he is ready to bolt.
The hat's like half on backwards.
Oh yeah, he just like slammed the door and then he was gone. I'm out.
Yeah, the pouty face and everything. Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's the match, Chad. Did it live up to the hype that showed it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's not a War Games match, so it kind of sucks that they called it that. Like Russo constantly called it that, and it was just a gimmick to try to pop a rating. Like they presented this as their kickoff to their 6th season of Nitro, 6th year. So it was almost like a season premiere is what they tried to do. But yeah, I mean, it's a nonsensical match. It's not very violent at all. The weapons and stuff look tropey. I would say the spot of the match is probably Steen crotching himself when he's dangling on the second cage ceiling and then gets hit with the ladder from Big Papa Pump. So yeah, I mean, overall it's a pretty bad match, and I think worthy of our number 23 in this countdown.
Now, Chad, you're a numbers guy, so I'm going to throw a scenario at you real quick, right? So you get the War Games with the 2 rings and the big wrapping cage. Let's talk square footage. Is that more square feet than the 3 cages stacked up, added together, square footage-wise, area space here we're talking? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, because this has that cage that I hate, that it surrounds all of, you know, the ringside area. So the mats, like, there's 6 feet from the ring to where the cage is and the barricade, which I hate, because I like the psychology of a cage match, like where you're claustrophobic, you know, like you can't escape, you're inside, it gets tense and stuff like that. And the way this is structured, the further up you go, it's very claustrophobic. They did a far angle where Booker retrieved the belt, which he looks like an idiot too, by the way. He's got a title shot coming up at Fall Brawl. They've already announced. And he's climbing up there to retrieve the belt, staring right down at Nash, who's just smiling at him. Like, I mean, what do you think's going to happen, buddy? But anyway, yeah, like the whole structure kind of gets more claustrophobic and condensed in as you pyramid up, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think this. I mean, I think there's a reason this structure hadn't made a resurrection. It's not. It doesn't. It's not conducive to a productive match. I don't believe.
All right, maybe leave your thoughts in your guesstimation on the square footage of volume in these three cages compared to a regular War Games in the comments.
I would say you have more here, but yeah, I would like to see if there's a defense out there of this match. I think Russo WCW is something the whole internet community can come together on crapping on, but you know, I'm up for a defense.
Well, speaking of, so normally the next question is, do we rate this too high or too low? But I think we're pretty on cue here. There's one more maybe in for contention, but it's not as bad as this one, Chad. Are you sticking with the dud? Because I'm going a quarter of a star due to Sting psychology and some of the cool spots. And I didn't like, it was somewhat entertaining in like a, oh my God, it's bad way, but quarter.
Yeah. Star. I mean, I'd probably need to watch the whole year in whole again and see like if this really was one of those like moments where it was like, okay, there's just no hope for this, you know, company, forget it. In ring wise, like coming in cold, yeah, I mean it's probably like a star match, you know, like it's not there's some weapon shots in there that's okay. It's just everything else is so bloated.
The whole ending is deflating and it feels like such a waste, and it's such a stupid fucking swerve, and you feel stupid and you like wasted 25 minutes with everything going on.
Right.
All right, Chad, speaking of wasting time, what did we just watch on Warzone?
So we're dead on into the build to WrestleMania now. So we just watched In Your House Final Four. Got a big Raw coming off of that, and I mean, that stretch of Raws between then and WrestleMania 13 are very exciting. We have the Manhattan Center ECW Raw. We got Raw's War debuting. So an exciting time. And then on the WCW side, we're going to get to some exciting stuff as well with the lead up to Super Brawl with the Piper Alcatraz promo and Piper's team and the Omni. Also another Omni shout out where Piper creates his team on the March 3rd Nitro. So a really fun time in the Warzone.
And of course, you wouldn't be wasting your time. And we're not going to waste any more time here. We got 22 more War Games to review, Chad. So as always, thank you for being the inaugural NoSo Countdown.
All right. Enjoyed it.
Later, guys.